All right, let me pull up the Geek Show theme song. Theme song, theme song, theme song, theme song, and theme song. Hey, I'm Matt Stauffer. This is episode 18 of the 5 Minute Geek Show, a twice weekly show about development and everything around it. It's one topic per episode. It's about front end, back end, mobile, project management, design, entrepreneurship, bootstrapping, whatever. If it's geeky, it fits. Today, we're going to be talking about growth hacking, this terrifying term, which I'm often uncomfortable with. If you really want to know someone who's uncomfortable with, check out Ian Landsman on Twitter. But in general, this idea of growth hacking is basically saying, we are going to find ways to grow our product, our user base, our viewership, whatever it ends up being. And they're hacks because it's kind of this kind of world of life hack, right? You know, you got a life hack, which is like hack your lunch bag by doing X and Y to make it 10 times more powerful. Well, with growth hacks, the idea is hack your growth rate to make it faster than it would have been otherwise. Now, the guy I'm interviewing actually doesn't always call it a growth hack. He actually pushes back at them sometimes, which is one of the reasons I'm willing to interview him, because a lot of them are doing scuzzy stuff. All the stuff we were talking about in the last couple of episodes about following people just to get followbacks, all that kind of stuff. Growth hacking often takes that to like the absolute extreme. But I'm looking at this guy and he launches this thing called interviewed.io, called Been Interviewed on Twitter, which basically collects together a whole bunch of interviews of folks when they're on podcasts. So if you really love this interview you hear of, Sally, and you want to know where else is Sally interviewed, you go to interviewed.io, you look up Sally, and it shows you all the different podcasts that she's been interviewed on. Really useful tool, great idea, built in Laravel, so that's how I first heard about it. But he went from nothing to just totally blowing up and write-ups on the next web and product hunt feature, all this kind of stuff in a day or two. And I said, I've got to ask this guy, how did you do it? At no point did I see anything from him that felt scuzzy. I was just like, this is great. I want to hear it from you. So I went and I just sent him a question. This is our first non-live interview. And I just said, could you talk for 5 minutes about what it took to get been interviewed from interview.io from where it was to where it is. So his name is Mubashar Iqbal, and he's going to talk just for 5 minutes about what it looked like for him to do that. So,
hi Matt, thanks for having me on your podcast. I will say I'm a bit surprised with the response to interviewed.io. I had no idea it was going to be quite as well received as it was. I had this very small idea for how I was going to promote interview.io. I was going to submit it to Product Hunt, and it was going to get voted on, and people were going to see it, and they were going to love it, and it was just going to get a bunch of traffic, and that would kind of make my mind up as to whether I was going to work on it some more. So I found out a little growth hack, as it were, that said that you should submit stuff to Product Hunt early in the morning because of the way that they update their website. Your product would stay on it longer if you submit it earlier in the morning and you get more votes and all that kind of stuff. So I woke up early on Friday and I went over to Product Hunt, and it's my first time submitting anything there. And so I went through the little form that they have, hit submit, and then I got the message that, hey, this product's got into our moderation queue. We have hundreds of products in our moderation queue, and your product might not actually ever show up on producthunt.com. So I was like, oh, well, that's not very good. So after I picked myself off the floor and had to kind of rethink my marketing plan there, I decided to just go back and do the things that I know have worked in the past for me with kind of other projects. So just do small things. So I'm pretty active on Hacker News. I'm pretty active on Designer News. So I went ahead and submitted it to those places, and I saw the uptick in traffic. I saw the upvotes there, and things were going pretty well. And so I started just kind of emailing a few people that had been listed on interview.io, and just doing the other marketing things that I hadn't done in the past. Actually, I don't email people about stuff because I think it's just kind of cold emails, kind of spam type thing. But somebody had said to me that, hey, you're actually doing these guys a favor. You're listing all their interviews so that they don't have to do this stuff. They don't have to track all these things down and put them in one place. So you're actually doing them a service. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I started doing that, just email a few people out, just let them know that interview.io was out there as well. And while I was doing that, I had the Google Analytics up on my website. And suddenly I see Product Hunt as a referrer. I'm like, what's going on here? I wasn't expecting that to kind of go through the moderation queue so fast. And I think, as it turns out, that it didn't actually go through the moderation queue. Somebody saw my posting on Product Hunt, or maybe on Designer News, and they were a moderator on Product Hunt, and so they submitted themselves, and now all of a sudden it's on the homepage of Product Hunt, and that sent me the majority of my traffic. And so that was awesome, because now I'm getting 20, 30, 40 people on my site at the same time, and it's kind of nice to sit there and watch the stats as that happens. But then I remembered a little hack that Steve P. Young of AppMasters mentioned, and so on Wednesday I'd kind of emailed the editor of the Next Web and kind of let him know that I was launching this thing, and then he'd email me back to ask me some questions about the site and stuff, and I answered those, but I didn't feel like I was going to get an article written. But once the site was up and on Product Hunt, I thought, hey, Steve had said, like, hey, if you can send these guys some proof that your product is worth writing about, they usually do. So I put together a quick email, and I said, hey, look, I know I wrote about this to you in the past, but hey, look, it's on Product Hunt and it's doing pretty well. I think your audience might find it interesting too. And after that short email, about half an hour later, the article appeared on the Next Web, and and that even that doubled the traffic I was getting sort of at the time. So I just did the little things, and and while that was all going on, like the emails I sent out in the morning, people had started to retweet it. People had started to tweet it on their own, and it just really took off from there. Just to give you guys some numbers, over the weekend, so I launched it on Friday morning. At the end of Sunday, it had about 5,000 visitors, and about 15,000 page views. So 1 to 3 is pretty good, especially when you're launching something like this. But that's it. I just did the little things, and that led to larger things, and hopefully I can carry that on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And actually, I was going to say thank you so much, Mubashar, but he actually goes by Mubs, M-U-B-S, and that's actually his website, mubs.me. So that's one of the places you can find him. You can also find him at Mubashar Iqbal, which is Mubashariqbal on Twitter. He has also got a ton of side projects and stuff like that. You can find him at and Product Hunt and all these different places. But yeah, that was really valuable, really helpful for me. And one of the things I like the most about that is hearing about how he was really attentive in launch day. And one of these things that I've run into in the past so much is that I'm not attentive in launch day. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll just spit it out there and put up a single tweet, and then hopefully it'll grow. And it doesn't always. And it's because I'm not really caring enough to say, man, if this is something I spent, dozens of hours of my time on it at minimum, I should really actually focus on helping people know about it. And in response to my the stuff that I shared recently in the last few episodes, I actually got this really great tweet from somebody. I'm going to pull it up right now. But he basically said, I don't think it's manipulative. Darren Burgess on Twitter, DarrenBurgess. He said, regarding your Twitter experiment, he said, I think you're discounting value. The podcast has great value, and if you don't promote it, how will people know? And I've actually had a couple other people that I've interacted with that said, I never would have heard of your thing unless you did the Twitter experiment. They said, I never would have known the Geek Show exists. I really enjoy it. I'm glad you did this. And I'm like, okay, well, so here's the thing. This is what we got from Mubs. Sometimes it takes some intentional work, but you can do it in a non-skeezy way. And it was really valuable for me to say, look, he's like, I'm sitting on my Google Analytics, I'm emailing these people, I'm planning ahead of time. And I think I'm really motivated to try that next time. But anyway, Mubs, thank you so much for your time. This has been 5 Minute Geek Show episode 18. We're at 5 Minute Geek Show on Twitter, which is the number 5, FIVE minutegeekshow.com. We're on iTunes, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And that's it. Thanks. See you next time. 5 Minute.
5 minute, I don't know.
Say 5 Minute.
5 minutes.
Geek Show.
Oh, nice.
You gonna say Geek Show?
So is say.
Geek Show.
So is say.
Good job. Say 5 Minute Geek Show.